Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today on OmegaRecruit Master Reset. It looks like we still have a few folks that are getting logged in. So we're going to give them about 2 more minutes to make sure everybody's logged in and connected and all of that good stuff. And then we will get started with the webinar. So give us just a couple of minutes. All right, it looks like we've got everybody logged in now, or just about everybody's logged in, so we'll go ahead and get started with today's webinar. Thank you again for joining us. We're glad to have everybody here this afternoon. My name is Heather McLeod, and I am with OmegaFi's Professional Services team. And I have with me today Sarah Beth Russell, who will be doing your training in just a few minutes. Before we get started, I had just a couple of things for you all. First, I wanted to just introduce OmegaFi. OmegaFi is actually the company that hosts and supports and maintains OmegaRecruit, which Sarah Beth will be going over in just a few minutes. And just a little bit about OmegaFi. We've actually been around for more than 30 years, and we provide technology solutions to help our customers with things like managing finances, streamlining operations, recruiting new members, and communicating with members. We work with 57 different headquarters, as well as local chapters and house corporations, and even IFC and Panhellenic councils, as well as alumni associations across more than 650 campuses. And we continue to remain the industry leader when it comes to technology in the fraternity and sorority community. We're based out of Columbus, Georgia, and we securely process more than $1.1 million per day for our customers, and we've securely processed more than $4 billion since we started back in '92. Deeply committed to serving and promoting and advancing the fraternity and sorority experience, and we aim to make raving fans with every individual or group that we work with by reaching and innovating and acting with agility. And we challenge ourselves to dream big every day. That's actually one of our company values, and we like to help others achieve their own dreams too. So to say that we're passionate about what we do is an understatement, and it's this passion that has encouraged our clients to trust us to do the heavy lifting so that you all can focus on your mission and having fun. So that's just a little bit about OmegaFi. Before I turn it over to Sarah Beth to do the training on Master Reset, I wanted to make sure that you all know that you have the ability to submit questions to us throughout the webinar. You can do that right there on your screen. You should see a little question box there. So if you have questions throughout the training, please feel free to type those in and send those over to us, and we'll be glad to get your questions answered. I actually want to test that out real quick. So if you see the question box there on your screen, please just go ahead and type in your name and your chapter, and let's make sure that we can see those coming through so that when you have a question, we'll be able to answer that for you. All right, I see those coming through. Thank you, Samantha and Ava and Mia and Sarah and Macy. They're pouring in there. So it looks like that question box is working. Thank you all for doing that. Again, as we're going throughout the training, just post your question there and we'll make sure to get an answer to you. All right, well, I will turn it over to Sarah Beth now.
Thank you so much, Heather. Like Heather said, today we're going to be going through OmegaRecruit. So this is going to be our agenda today. We're going through how to get ready for the Master Reset coming up in May. And we're going to talk about downloading your reports that you're going to need in order to keep any data from previous recruitment, how you need to update your admins and their access in order to make sure the right people have that access after the Master Reset. And then we will also talk about what the Master Reset is and what the difference is between that and the one that is manually in the system. So let's go ahead and get started. So I actually do want to start out talking about what is the Master Reset and how it's different from the one that is manually in the system. So if you guys are familiar with the system, under the Chapter tab, we can go to Master Reset after our recruitment season is done, or if you guys do practice rounds of recruitment before your actual recruitment, you would do the Master Reset before you load in your actual P&Ms. This Master Reset here resets all the data information, takes out all the PNMs, any votes, anything like that will be wiped from the system, but you still have your users within the system and their information. So the difference with this manual one and the one that we are doing in May, it will wipe everything from the system. Once it's gone, just like this one, but also your users will be taken out of the system other than your admins. So that's why when we talk about how to update your access, we'll make sure that the right people have access come that master reset. So then when fall comes around and they go to set up, they still are able to get into the system. So that is just kind of a quick overview of what the difference is. So now we're going to go into how you can keep the data from your last recruitment. So whether your last recruitment was this past spring or if you haven't had recruitment since fall, if you want to keep the data and you haven't done your master reset yet, you can pull all those reports. And we're just going to kind of go through and look at where those reports are and what they look like and what they have on them. So starting with the PNM list, this is kind of the main hub of information that you have during recruitment. So when you come here, if you're wanting to kind of just pull a broad overview of all this information, you can go up to this little hamburger icon is what we call it up here in the top right-hand corner, and you can export your PNM list. So even if you don't have all the columns showing, this is going to give you the overview of all the information that's in there, all your voting. Like I said, even if the columns aren't showing, that information will still be in there if it's listed within the system. So this will just show, and then you can look at that. If you see this -1 here, that just means PNM did not have a vote during that. So it's one thing. Additionally, on this screen, you can pull up this in browser slideshow, depending on whether or not you guys use this, or if you want to pull this information in this way, you can click on it, and this is how that slideshow shows up, and you can also pull what columns you want to look at for that. Now, the way you can pull that, you can do the P key, and that will take you to a printable version, which you can also save. So if you want to save that, you can in this format. And then when you want to escape that, you just hit the escape key. So this is what you can pull on that list. Also something to mention with the slideshow, if you have any filters up here in these categories, like if you have, freshmen pulled here, then only the freshmen will filter into that slideshow. So if you want to make sure you have everything, just make sure these are cleared out. Next, we're going to go to the PNM dropdown on the left-hand side. There are a few different options before you get to the actual reports menu. You can go to your matching. If you are wanting to pull all the matches that you had for recruitment to see kind of maybe who talked to who, then you can get that information here. You can filter it by if you want to just see who recommended who to talk to. If you just want to see your starred members and PNMs, you can click this. If these are clicked as required, then like the member would have to be starred or they would have to have a recommendation. Even if one of these others is an option, it will only show if they have one of these. So keep that in mind. And then you can also do these fields up for your matches. So if you want to optimize that, depending on how big your chapter is, you might have had more matches to look at. But you can go through these, you can do it by round, and if you use the party system, you can do it by party. For this example, we don't have the party set up, but if you do, then all your parties will show here. And then once you have what you want, so like for this, we'll just do required, you can generate the matches. And from that, you can export that in Excel or PDF. And you can also change your rounds here as well. Next on the list, we have our comments. Now, what's unique about the comments, we do have the comments in the drop down, but we also have a report for comments under the report section that you can break down a little easier. But if you want all the comments just listed out here, you can download those from this section, and we'll look at the one under reports as well. And then we also have recs. So depending on your organization, whether or not you use this or not, you may not, but this is a link link that you can provide to your alum to submit recommendations to the chapter. So if you don't use this or you use something different from your national organization, they have something they provide, then you may not even need this. But if you do use this link and you have recommendations that you need to export, you can do that through here. They'll show up. Any submissions that come through will be in this menu, and then you can just export them into an Excel file. Now going to the report section itself, we have several different reports in the tabs across the top. The first one is the P&M report. It's going to be kind of similar to your P&M list layout, and you can break it down. So you can have your active P&Ms or include the comments. If you want to have both, you can, and you'll download that, and it's going to look something like this. And then if you want to have your votes, you can do this here. It has several different ways you can break that down as well. You can look at only your active P&Ms. If you guys use party voting, then whenever a P&M is not included in a party for the next round, it'll automatically mark them as inactive. If not, then you have to manually mark those P&Ms as inactive as you go through the process. So if you have updated P&Ms as inactive along the way, then when you click this, you'll only see the ones who are active within the round. So I would suggest, like, if you're doing only the active P&Ms, you would do for each of the rounds, and then you can see which ones were active during that round. And then you can divide this up by user or P&M. So if you do it by user, you'll see how each of your members voted. If you do it by P&M, you'll see the P&M listed and all the votes that they got and who they were from. With the comments here, like I was saying, you have a little bit more of a breakdown you can do with this. So if you want to do that round by round, and then you can do it by, again, your users or your P&Ms. Also, you can do it by timestamp as well. Here we have another slideshow that you can do. This one is a little different than your in-browser slideshow. This will export into PowerPoint, again, with only your active P&Ms, or you can also include your P&M pictures on that. If you want to, if you prefer PowerPoint over the in-browser, you can download this as well if you want to have that kind of in a slideshow format. And then we have our voter distribution. This is really good to look at just to see statistics on how your voting looked, what members were getting votes on, the average vote per your member or per P&M. So your voter distribution, you can download by round as well. You can also look kind of at this in the hub as well. And then the last report on this one is your vote audit report. So this one was actually new last fall, so a little more new in the system, but this one has been really helpful in showing changes in votes. So before there wasn't a way to record that. Now we have the vote audit report. You can pull this, you can pull it by round, and it's going to show any votes that were changed. So as an admin, if you had to go in at any point and update a vote that a member put in because maybe it was incorrect or whatever it may be, this audit report is going to show that. It just kind of helps with that accountability for the recruitment season. That is all for P&M under the dropdown. We can also look at the user dropdown, and here we have your user report. You can download this here. I would highly suggest doing this if you don't want to have to put together a new Excel document for fall. This just kind of already gives you that information, and then you can update it accordingly, remove members who are maybe going alum, and then add any members who weren't previously on this. But then after the master reset is done, it's going to be a lot easier to re-upload those members under the add users. You can just use that updated Excel file to re-upload them. So that's going to help you out. And now we'll look at the hub here. You can get some information off of this as well and download that. You see a lot of charts. This is, like we were talking about before with the voter distribution, it shows a lot of that statistic and data here. So there's several different charts you can look at. And then if you want to look at what information is in that chart, you can flip it over with the little arrow icon, and over here you can download that as well. So if you want any of this information to have, you can go through each chart and download that. Now we're going to look at under your users, we're going to go to user list, and we're going to look at what you need to do to update your admins. So if your admins are changing from spring to fall, or if you just need to update who has admin access, whatever it may be, you would go here and with the little checkbox here, uncheck anybody who doesn't need to have that admin access, and then you'll make sure anybody that needs to have that for fall has that. And once you're done, it is good to go. Just know that anybody who doesn't need admin access really shouldn't be checked. And then basically when the master reset is done, only your admins will have the ability to log in and they will re-upload the users that are going to be different from your last recruitment. And here you can also, if you want to go ahead and like unstar any members, if you use that feature during recruitment, you can do that here as well. And then lastly, if you do want to go ahead and start early prep, just looking around in your system, if you have any organization specific configurations, you can go to this page to see what that is, kind of study that. And then we also have training under this tab here. It'll walk you through how to set up a practice recruitment. So with that, if you want to start running those after master reset, you can kind of go through this and become an expert on how to set that up. And then we also have the Help Me tab. So you can type in any questions you may have, FAQs, like if you want to look something up about P&Ms, you can pull that up and any of it will pull up with information that you may need. And then you can also do the Get Help if you're having any issues. It will take you to this right here. This is our help center. So you can, just like the other page, type in any questions you may have and articles will be available. If it's something outside of articles that we have, you can also submit a request and that will go to our recruitment support and they'll be able to help you. So depending on what it is, you can choose it and fill out all this information. If you're having an issue and you need some troubleshooting, you can also add files, screenshots. So make sure to give as much information as possible on what you are needing when you send that to them so they can best help you. And also if you just need the email support, you have that right here. That's going to be recruitment_support@omegafy.com. That is going to be how you can connect with them. But that is all the reports that we have. Just remember that you want to make sure you're pulling that data. Master reset will be May 1st. And so after that, all your data from any previous recruitments will be gone. So if you're wanting to make sure you have that, go ahead and update that, admin access as well, so the right people will have access come fall. Heather, I don't know if any questions have come in. I'm looking at that now.
Yeah, we got some good questions. Thank you, Sarah Beth, and thank you to everyone who submitted your questions. If anyone else has some more, feel free to get those in. We'll be online for a few more minutes. I will just highlight some of the questions that came through, just in case anybody else may benefit from that information. One question was just clarifying, and you just said this, Sarah Beth, but I just want to reiterate the date of the master reset and what exactly is going to happen then. So on May 1st, as Sarah Beth said, we will run the master reset, and that deletes all of the P&M and voting information from spring recruitment or whatever your previous recruitment was in OmegaRecruit. So that happens so that when you all get ready for fall recruitment, no one will be able to see that previous information. Perhaps you have new P&Ms that are P&Ms from last recruitment season that will now be voting users. So we're going to wipe out all of that information, which generally is confidential, and that way no one else will be able to see it whenever you all start prepping for fall recruitment. And also we don't want that data to commingle with your fall recruitment either. So we run this master reset every May. And so that will again wipe out all of that information. So we recommend that you go in there and pull and download and save any of those reports if you need to refer back to them, because we will not be able to recover them once we run the master reset. So just wanted to reiterate that. I think we also have an article in our knowledge base that goes through, what are the reports that we recommend that you download and save at the end of every recruitment season, not just this time of year. Another question, we had a couple of questions about access. Sarah Beth said that as well. about making sure that you get your administrators updated. If you're finding yourself that you don't see all of those menus in OmegaRecruit or those reports that Sarah Beth was demonstrating, go back to your chapter officers and or advisors and see if any of them have that full level of administrator access so that they can give you the access that you may need to go in and pull the reports. And then also we got a question about regret. That's that status of regret that I think was at the very beginning of the webinar. And that's just a status that's typically used when a P&M does not get a party assignment or if you do not wish to advance them in the rounds. And then one more question I just saw came through from Abby. Thank you for sending that in. She asked if the webinar will be recorded and emailed. Yes. We will send out the webinar recording probably by the end of this week, and we're actually going to send that to anyone who registered for the webinar. So, and that's the way that we manage all of our webinars, by the way. So if you're not able to attend the time of the live webinar, go ahead and register, and we send the recording out to anyone who registers, even if you're not able to attend. So we'll make sure we get that recording emailed, and it will also be on our YouTube channel as well in the OmegaRecruit playlist. McKenna sent a message, do I need to master reset manually or is it okay to wait until May 1st? Good question. No, Omega Phi will run the master reset on May 1st. It's not anything that you all have to do. You're welcome to go ahead and do it earlier than that if you want to, but we're going to do the widespread master reset across all OmegaRecruit accounts on May 1st. Sarah Beth, I think that's all of the questions. I know I kind of ran through those pretty quickly. Anything else you would add to those, to my answers?
Nope, that was all perfect. Sounded good.
All right. Well, as you see here on the screen, our email address is recruitment_support@omegaphi.com. If you have any questions, please feel free to send those to us. Also, we have the Help Me button within OmegaRecruit. You can click on that and search for answers to your questions. Most of your questions are probably answered there in our Help Center, but of course, send us an email if you don't find exactly what you're looking for, and we will be glad to help. Again, thank you all for joining this afternoon. We appreciate your time and for attending, and you just let us know if you need us. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.